sometimes, the absolute worst thing you can do, well, it's shining too bright.
Yeah, it sounds completely backwards, doesn't it?
Mhm.
Especially now when everyone's pushing you to be visible, highlight every single win.
Right. Amplify everything. But what if, just maybe, strategically dimming your lights sometimes, what if that's actually the smarter play?
Well, that brings us straight into the first law from Robert Greene's The 48 Laws of Power. Law number 1, never outshine the master.
Okay, never outshine the master.
But hang on, before you think this is about like playing small or being mediocre,
Yeah.
it's not that simple.
No.
No, it's really about being strategically intelligent, knowing how and when to show what you can do.
Got it. And maybe let's update that word master. It sounds a bit old-fashioned.
Definitely. Think about who holds that kind of authority in your life, right?
Okay, so like your boss.
Yeah, or a key client, maybe a mentor you really respect.
An investor even. Someone holding the purse strings.
Exactly. Anyone whose perception of you can, open doors.
Or slam them shut.
Yeah. So our mission today in this deep dive is to really unpack this law. It can genuinely define careers, relationships even.
So we'll look at the psychology.
The underlying psychology, how it's played out historically and now.
And crucially, how you, listening right now, can actually use this understanding, make it work for you.
Right. How it applies to your life.
Okay, so let's start with the core. Never outshine the master. What's the real essence of it?
It basically boils down to this: getting ahead, gaining influence.
Mm-hmm.
It isn't always about being the flashiest or most talented person there.
Not just raw talent.
It's more about understanding who needs to feel capable, who needs to feel in control, especially people in authority.
Okay. So you figured that out before you start showcasing your own brilliance.
Precisely. Before you put your own strengths on full display, it's about reading the room, reading the power dynamic first.
That makes a lot of sense. We often just look at the formal stuff, right? Titles, who reports to who.
The org chart, yeah.
But there's this whole other layer, this emotional power thing going on underneath.
Totally. Those in charge, they don't just have the structural power, their own feelings, their sense of status, their comfort level. These are huge forces.
And they can be pretty sensitive about feeling, challenged? Even indirectly?
Surprisingly sensitive, yeah. If they feel their position or their competence is somehow being questioned, even slightly.
Even if that wasn't your intention at all, like you're just trying to help out or contribute something good.
That's the absolute crucial part. Your intention might be pure gold.
Right.
But how it lands, how it's perceived by them, that's often the only thing that really counts in that moment.
So a great idea shared the wrong way
can absolutely backfire.
Yeah.
If your display of skill makes them feel undermined, even accidentally, you trigger a defensive response.
Yeah.
Perception really is king here.
So it's not just a logical thing, oh, this person's good. It's much more about managing their feelings, almost.
You've hit it. Power dynamics are so often driven by these unseen emotional currents. And if you want to navigate them well, you have to understand that psychological landscape.
Okay, that's clear. We get the basic idea, but let's dig into the why now. What's the actual psychology making this happen?
Well, what's really interesting is how fragile the ego can be sometimes, even for people right at the top.
Really? Even if they seem super confident?
Absolutely. It's not usually talked about, right? But that feeling of authority, it can be more precarious than it looks from the outside. So when someone lower down suddenly shows, like, exceptional ability, it can tap right into these hidden insecurities.
Insecurities about what? Being replaced, not being good enough?
Exactly that.
Right.
Are they still indispensable? Your competence, even in just one specific thing, might subconsciously make them fear they aren't as essential as they thought.
Wow. So my being good actually makes them feel bad or scared.
It can, yeah. Instead of admiration, you might trigger feelings of inadequacy or even just like a vague sense of threat. It messes with the established pecking order,
The unspoken one.
The unspoken one, absolutely. These informal hierarchies that exist in pretty much any group.
How do those play into it?
Well, think about it. In any company, any team, even a social group, right? There's this sort of felt sense of who ranks where. It's not written down.
Right.
But if you, maybe lower down formally, suddenly act in a way that suggests you're higher in skill or status than someone above you, well, that creates friction. Big time.
Okay. And this ties into something called status threat.
Yes, exactly. Status threat. It's a specific psychological concept.
What is it exactly?
It's the reaction we have psychologically, even physically sometimes, when we feel our position, our standing in the group is being challenged.
Okay.
Think way back, evolutionarily speaking. Keeping your status in the tribe meant better resources, safety, mates,
Survival, basically.
pretty much. So that instinct to guard our social rank, it's still wired in deep. It's primal.
So my brilliant presentation could accidentally trigger someone's survival instinct.
In a way, yes. It sounds dramatic, but your brilliance can inadvertently poke that bear. It's not just ego, it feels fundamental to them.
And if you do trigger that, what happens? What are the consequences?
Well, it can be subtle or not so subtle.
Like what?
You might find yourself suddenly overlooked,
Yeah.
for that cool project. Or your ideas get shot down more often, maybe with flimsy reasons.
The passive-aggressive stuff?
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
Or even like quiet sabotage. Someone blocking opportunities behind the scenes, maybe subtly discrediting your work. It's usually not a big confrontation.
Yeah.
More like death by 1,000 paper cuts. Little things designed to diminish you or just hinder you.
Wow. Okay, that's sobering. It really shows it's not just about merit, is it?
Not at all. Navigating these landscapes takes more than just being good at your job.
Let's make this concrete. You mentioned a historical example, Fouquet and King Louis XIV.
Yes, Nicolas Fouquet. He was the superintendent of finances for Louis XIV back in 17th century France.
Yeah.
Super wealthy, super powerful guy.
Okay.
And he builds this incredible chateau, Vaux-le-Vicomte. Stunning place. He decides to throw this absolutely jaw-dropping party there, specifically to impress the young king, Louis.
Sounds like a good move, right? Show loyalty, show the kingdom's wealth through his own success?
You'd think so.
Yeah.
And that was probably Fouquet's plan. But the party was too good.
Too good. How?
The sheer luxury, the elegance, Fouquet's own wit and charm, the generosity. It was also dazzling. It actually made King Louis feel, small, overshadowed in his own kingdom.
Uh-oh. I have a bad feeling about this.
You should. The result wasn't a promotion.
No.
Shortly after this amazing party, Louis had Fouquet arrested, thrown in prison for life.
For life. Just for throwing a great party.
Essentially, yes. Because the party highlighted Fouquet's magnificence over the king's. The lesson there is brutal but clear. Your power, your influence.
Yeah.
It's not just about what you have or what you can do. It's massively about how your power makes those above you feel.
How you make them feel. That's chilling.
Yeah.
Okay, a bit more modern. Steve Jobs.
Right. Steve Jobs at Apple. He was famously very careful about who got the spotlight.
How so?
He really didn't tolerate individuals inside Apple getting too much personal press, too much fame, if it seemed like they might overshadow the Apple brand itself.
So it was always Apple first, the brand first.
Always. If an exec started getting featured in magazines too much, becoming a star in their own right, they often found themselves kind of pushed to the side.
Sidelined.
Yeah, sidelined or even eased out.
Yeah.
Jobs knew the brand was the main source of power and attention, and he guarded that fiercely.
Okay, that's a top-level view. What about something more everyday, like in an office?
Okay, imagine this. Junior analyst, right? In a meeting with their manager and some senior leaders.
Yeah.
And the analyst points out a mistake the manager made in the presentation. Factually correct, let's say.
Okay, just setting the record straight.
Exactly. Seems harmless, maybe even helpful.
Mm-hmm.
But doing it in front of senior leadership, that can totally humiliate the manager.
Ah, the loss of face.
Precisely. Even if the analyst just wanted accuracy, the manager likely feels undermined, shown up.
And the consequence isn't likely to be a thank you note.
Probably not. It won't be a public firing, maybe. But later, maybe that analyst gets excluded from things. Maybe their ideas suddenly face more challenges. Subtle stuff. Retaliation.
These examples really, they hit home. So, okay, how do we actually use this? How can listeners apply this law without, becoming manipulative? Let's start in the workplace.
Okay, workplace. A big one is consciously making your boss look good. Publicly credit them. If you have a success, tie it back to their guidance or support, if you can genuinely do that. When you pitch an idea, frame it as building on their strategy.
So not, here's my brilliant idea, but more like, following up on your point about X, I was thinking maybe we could explore Y.
Exactly like that. It shows respect, acknowledges their leadership. Also, maybe don't solve every problem instantly in front of them.
Oh, why not?
Let them contribute. Give them space to have insights, to feel part of the solution, not just watching you be brilliant.
Okay, that makes sense. And use we, not I.
Yes. That small shift in language, we achieved this, we should consider this, reinforces teamwork and makes you seem less like a solo star trying to outshine everyone.
All right. What about dealing with, say, clients or investors? The dynamic feels different there.
It is, but the principle holds. With clients or investors, you definitely want to avoid making them feel stupid or uninformed.
How? Too much jargon.
That's a classic way, yeah. Overwhelming them with technical stuff they don't understand. Instead, you want to empower them, make them feel smart, make them feel involved in finding the solution.
So guide them towards the answer, kind of let them discover it with you.
Exactly. You're facilitating their insight. If the solution feels partly like their idea, they'll be much more invested and feel much better about the whole interaction and about you.
That's clever. Okay, and what if you're a creator? Building an online thing, a personal brand, does this still apply?
It does, yeah. Even when the focus is on you, like with a personal brand.
How so?
Well, for one, acknowledge your mentors. Credit the people who influenced you. Don't act like you sprang fully formed from nowhere.
Okay, give credit where it's due.
Right. And watch your tone with your audience. Avoid sounding condescending. Focus on guiding them, including them. Make them feel like they're part of your journey, learning with you.
Not just watching you from below.
Exactly. Make them feel like participants, not just spectators to your genius.
This is all super practical,
Yeah.
but I can also see how someone might misunderstand this law, take it the wrong way. What are the big mistakes to avoid?
Okay, yeah, good point.
Yeah.
A huge mistake is thinking this means you have to constantly hide your talent or dumb yourself down.
Right, just be mediocre forever.
No, that's not it at all. Another big pitfall is fake humility, being obviously insincere about it.
People see through that, don't they?
Oh, absolutely. Forced modesty can be just as off-putting as bragging. And it definitely doesn't mean being passive or, like, apologizing for being good at what you do.
So it's not about pretending.
Not at all. It's not about being fake or weak. It's about being strategic and socially aware.
Okay, so if that's what not to do,
Yeah.
what should we be doing? How do we get this right?
The key is to let your competence emerge more organically, over time.
Naturally.
Yeah, and always try to connect your wins to the bigger picture, to the team's success, to the boss's goals. Build trust first. That's crucial.
Build trust, then show mastery.
Exactly. Once people trust you, once they feel secure around you, your skills are much more likely to be welcomed, even celebrated, rather than seen as a threat. It's about earning genuine trust, which is deeper than just being liked.
Trust over likability. That's a good distinction. This feels really relevant right now, doesn't it, in 2025 with social media everywhere?
Oh, absolutely crucial observation. Social media just pours gasoline on that fire, right? The tendency to constantly perform, compare, try to visibly outdo everyone else.
Yeah, the pressure is immense.
It is. But what's interesting, and maybe hopeful, is you're starting to see a counter trend. The really strategic people, the smart creators and entrepreneurs, they're often doing the opposite.
Yeah.
They're focusing more on collaboration, on lifting others up. They understand that making the team look good, making their partners look good, ultimately reflects well on them too.
It's like that saying, a rising tide lifts all boats.
Exactly. And they get that shared success often leads to more success for everyone involved, including themselves. And when dealing with mentors or powerful figures, the smartest ones avoid public challenges.
They keep it private.
Yeah, they cultivate those alliances behind the scenes. They exert influence subtly, respectfully, not by trying to grab the spotlight aggressively.
Wow. Okay, this has been a really, really insightful deep dive. So if we had to boil down the core message one last time.
I'd say it's this. True power, true influence, isn't just about having talent. It's about being smart, really smart, about how and when you reveal that talent. It requires humility, timing, and a deep awareness of how others perceive you.
So it's not about hiding your greatness, but about being intelligent with it. A real art to navigating power.
Definitely an art.
Yeah.
So maybe the question for you listening is this. Are you just trying to climb the ladder? Or are you maybe accidentally burning the rungs below you as you go?
That's a really powerful question to sit with, and maybe reflect personally too. Can you think of a time you might have, unintentionally outshone someone, a boss, a mentor?
Or maybe held back a bit consciously to protect a relationship you valued. It happens more than we think.
Food for thought, for sure.
Absolutely. And if you found digging into this first law useful, definitely subscribe, because next time we're tackling another really counterintuitive one.
Oh yeah, what's next?
Law 2. Never put too much trust in friends. Learn how to use enemies.
Okay, now that sounds like a conversation you don't want to miss.